Following his second win of the season in Baku, Perez heads into the upcoming Miami Grand Prix trailing Verstappen by just 6 points. In what has been described as one of his most impressive victories, Perez held off Verstappen in a head-to-head battle after inheriting the lead during a safety car intervention. Let's take a look at how the team dynamic has shifted in the aftermath. Stay tuned. According to Peter Windsor, Perez's ability to take care of his tires has been well known for a while. In Baku, he was able to match Verstappen's lap time in the first sector's 90-degree corners while using less of his tires, which allowed him to preserve his tires for the rest of the lap and was crucial to his victory. According to Windsor, Perez has gained a reputation as a specialist in street circuits, having won in Baku, Monaco, Jeddah, and Singapore for Red Bull. This situation is similar to that of Vettel, who retired from F1 at the end of last season. After a string of 4 consecutive championship titles with Red Bull from 2010 to 2013, Vettel failed to win a single race in the 2014 season and was overshadowed by his newly promoted teammate Daniel Ricciardo. As a result, he left the team to join Ferrari. Windsor, speaking on his YouTube channel, believes that Vettel's extensive success may have prevented him from being more reflective when faced with his defeat to Ricciardo. He also sees similar warning signs in Verstappen, following Perez's victory in Monaco last year. Max got beaten in Baku because of his inferior technique on traction corners when there are long straights afterwards to reward perfect traction. That's how he got beaten, so that's an area where he needs to improve, as I've been saying since Monaco last year. I always said it was going to be interesting by the time we got to Baku to see if he was a different driver in that respect, and he hasn't improved. I think there's going to be a question after that. I think it's the Sebastian Vettel syndrome. When the writing was on the wall at Red Bull that he wasn't doing as good a job as Daniel Ricciardo, he just left and went to Ferrari and didn't work on the areas where he needed to if he had really looked deeply and just assumed that going to Ferrari as a 4 times world champion because he could do no wrong would result in 4 more world championships. And that didn't happen. Same way Fernando at McLaren in 2007 assumed that McLaren were favoring Lewis because Lewis was better in a couple of areas out of the box. But it was because Lewis was actually better in a couple areas out of the box. I think it's the same with Max. I think Max probably thinks now, there's no way I can be learning anything from Sergio Perez, and if he wanted to, and he really got down to it, I'm sure he could improve. He's got enough talent and enough ability to be self-critical to do that. But I think the way Formula 1 is now, it's just like, wait for the next race, it will be different. If he hasn't changed between Monaco and Baku this year, it ain't gonna change before Monaco this year, is it? Or Singapore probably. Red Bull's motorsport advisor, Helmut Marko, has expressed doubt that Sergio Perez will be able to compete with Max Verstappen over the course of an entire season. However, he also cautioned against underestimating the Mexican driver. Verstappen is currently leading the drivers' standings after the first 4 races of the year, but his lead is narrow. Red Bull has won all 4 of those Grand Prix races, with the victories evenly split between Verstappen and Perez. The reigning champion won the race in Bahrain, but in the following race in Jeddah, Perez seized the opportunity to take the checkered flag due to his teammates' qualifying struggles. In Melbourne, car problems for Perez resulted in Verstappen's win, while in the recent Baku race, Perez demonstrated his expertise on street circuits by taking the victory. Although it's still early in the season, Perez is making a strong case for himself as a worthy opponent to Verstappen. Despite being only 6 points behind him in the championship standings after the first 4 races, Marko anticipates that the gap will widen after this weekend's Miami Grand Prix, saying, "There, I see Max in front again. In qualifying, as in Baku, Leclerc could be fast, the race should be ours again, and I'm sticking to my guns. Over the season, Max Verstappen is the man, he's the more consistent one." Despite Marko's prediction, he expressed admiration for Perez's development in a role that has proven difficult for his predecessors. He briefly mentioned the Mexican's progress while reviewing the Azerbaijan GP. He was unlucky with the safety car, yes, but Sergio on a street circuit? He has the most podiums here, so don't underestimate Sergio. He has changed a lot since he came to us. He started working. Perez expressed confidence and stated that he could have been leading the championship if not for the mechanical problems he faced in Australia. He said, "There is only so much you can say outside of the car. I think it's important to deliver on the track." I think without all the issues that we had in qualifying in Melbourne, we should be leading the championship. So definitely, there is everything to believe that we can do well. I'm fighting for it. But I also know that it's a massive road ahead, so I need to keep my head down and just keep delivering. Johnny Herbert believes that even if all other drivers had the same car as Max Verstappen's RB19, the Dutchman would still emerge victorious. While his car has been dominant, Herbert thinks that his driving skills are the main reason for his success. Herbert said, "If everyone drove a Red Bull, now as we are today, I'd say Max would still be the quickest, although there would not be much in it, purely on where he is at in his career, where we see him do it every single weekend. Has he peaked? No. There is always a time the greats of the sport don't stay great until that last lap on the track, and they don't know it's their last lap." Following heated moments on and off the racetrack with Max Verstappen in Azerbaijan, George Russell of Mercedes mentioned that he had moved on from the incident. During Saturday's sprint in Azerbaijan, Russell and Verstappen collided at turn 2, which led to a tense exchange where Verstappen hotly replied to Russell's apology. In Miami, Verstappen expressed that he was completely okay with Russell, while the Mercedes driver provided his thoughts on the disagreement, saying, "I mean, from my side, there's no air to be cleared. I'll welcome and say hello to him if he passes by, and I'm sure we'll shake hands when we bump into each other. For me, it's history now, and it's behind us, so my views to him are still the same. I still respect him and think he's a great driver. Obviously, things are said in the heat of the moment, but yeah, we move on. I'll continue racing the same way as I always would. I mean, a lot's been said about that coming together from my side. It's pretty straightforward. Went for a move, got the move done, and obviously, he was pretty upset about it. But you know, that's racing, and these things happen. We're all here to fight, and that's what F1's about." Before the second ever Miami Grand Prix, Mercedes is positioned in third place in the standings. In the previous race in Azerbaijan, Lewis Hamilton ended up in 6th place, and his teammate George Russell finished 8th. Clearly, our car isn't quick enough. We need to continue to do a better job, and we'll go again this weekend. Hopefully, it'll be a slightly smoother weekend, and we can battle it out with Aston Martin and Ferrari. I think last year for all of us, this was one of the toughest races of the season, but I think it's exciting when it's difficult. Nobody wants an easy ride, and it gives you an opportunity to do something different from the rest. Red Bull's dominance has extended beyond the current season, as they won 17 out of 22 races in 2022. With 4 wins out of 4 in the current season, they have a significant pace advantage over their rivals, which makes it highly likely that either Verstappen or his teammate Perez will become the world champion this season, with Verstappen aiming for his 3rd title and Perez hoping for his 1st. Which of the 2 drivers will emerge victorious by the end of the season? Or do you think that this year's champion will come from a different team? Tell us who you think will be crowned champion in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.